Don't worry about the fly tail on the other end of my bed, which you won't be able to see anymore anyway, so whatever. I mean, you'll be able to see it right now, maybe a little bit, but we're going to talk about some things that might seem personal, but they're very emotionally charged, and I'm going to try to carefully talk about them without being too emotionally charged about them. So, we're going to talk about why reaching out to me with or without YouTube has different contexts and dependencies, and we're going to talk about why not assuming that something has happened is a good idea all the time, at least. And then even in addition to that, if any of these get talked about at all, if any of this at all gets talked about, at the very least talking about why it mattered when we could bring up things in the first place. Maybe not akin to the answer to hate speech is more free speech, but like things like where bringing up your issues at all is better than hiding from the issues that get brought up for the wrong reasons or even get brought up in ways that can make things worse. Things like that, like that energy. So there's the understanding, which is also in itself a misunderstanding, that we should not bring up things in public that we could have discussed in private. And that's a common theme for a lot of people in real life. Is like, don't bring this up in public if you can deal with it in private. It's like, so a lot of us who are anti-meob, anti-mind your own business, who are actually very much, and I made shorts about this before, who are anti-meob, and we talk about things where we don't want to necessarily ruin people's lives by invading their privacy and boundaries, but we still want to make sure we have enough disclosure for things that we believe abstract philosophy-wise could have still been different. And it was like, it's not so much a different aspect of cooks in the kitchen or even still worry about your own life, some in your own lane kind of thing, but it was still our own diagnoses of things that could have still been different for other things, philosophical or not. Oh, that's not objective enough. That's not even objective in the first place. You're not being real. You're not being doing the right thing or doing the correct option, internally correct thing. That kind of energy. So like, but so people reserve the right to maintain their privacy and boundaries for sure. But it's like the energy that comes with preventing someone from discussing their problems, whether it's private or public, is very, very wicked. It's like I didn't even discuss that part in the YouTube Shorts, which I will go through actually in a second over time, but if not already, at some point. But I could even make a short today if I can, but if I have time. But one more or two or three, depending. The idea of preventing someone from discussing something in public because you want them to discuss it in private, that can still have negative, bad context, not just good context. So like the good context is to disclose it in private so that you can deal with it the way it's supposed to be dealt with without causing more problems than necessary. The bad context is when you accidentally prevent it completely because you disclose the wrong things in private. And in public, you cancel culture that because you don't know what it's supposed to mean if it could have been in private, but you accidentally abandon the entire thing because you don't understand the outlet sources that's being used. The creative outlet source of that being disclosed, either private or public. So it's like, so in other words, someone's preference and style, if not cruciality in their own mind, of why they disclose that in public, whether it's to 150,000 people, not necessarily the social psychology thing yet, not yet like last time in the live stream, but when they disclose it in a way where they're just like, it's not only their preference and their cruciality fixated part of their mind, where it's like, okay, so they didn't have to worry about what city or province they were in to discuss something in public and exploit and dox themselves. Which, by the way, even if doxing is only bad, even if it's not supposed to be a passion that hurts people or helps them, whether you do something you love without hurting people or whatever, that can still be its own thing. But the preference that they have, strongly or not, even crucial or not, to exploit themselves and their information just to get their problem-solving skills out of the way, and even things that they care about as passionate as they are for those things, passion-driven for those problem-solving skills or not. That's what they're coming down to. It's like when someone cancel cultures them from solving their problems in public because they want to figure out how to deal with that in private, or at least recommend or peacefully, casually suggest that in private. And it's like, but you have no idea what this means to me, to be able to be passionate about my problem solving. There are people out there who are uncomfortable talking about suicide, right? And you're like, but you have to be, it's not to be inconsiderate to them from that perspective, but it's like, but people who can't talk about suicide in particular, who are uncomfortable talking about that, it's not that we never have our own insecurities and discomforts. It's just that we end up being like our own white knight sometimes, and we end up doing our own things. We could be too much of a white knight at that point, but even with that slogan, the internet term at bay. But with that example in mind, maybe if it helps. If it does, I'm sorry. But where you have no idea how much it helps to have a passion for problem solving, because if we can't even disclose this in public, and we especially don't want to disclose it in private, as anti-meob would suggest, Why would you have to worry about that being in private? Because there are people like me who don't want things to be talked about in private because that hides it from other people. Why would you be worried about that then, Cashman? Why would you be worried about that? Let me get this straight to you guys. I hate Miob. I do not like Miob. Mind your own business. I literally don't. Like, I know what it means, like, swim your own lane. I know it has good context. There's a lot I can get to that's in defense of it. But privacy and even boundaries never got me the right way. I know I'm supposed to have boundaries regardless. I'm not supposed to have privacy and self-respect and self-responsibility and all that good stuff. I know that matters. I know it does. But when it is used in the wrong way, in the wrong hands, not so much a coward's way describing, oh, it can be abused, because even people who describe things being abused can be prejudiced themselves. But it depends. I guess this video gets edited after all. But like, anyways, it's like it's a very weird energy, that kind of thing. You don't want to have to imagine that someone's ability to problem solve anything is being depicted because they didn't know how to keep it private to themselves, even if it was that personal and private to begin with, not just public, or even public at all. This connection is a skill, not a curse. However, not so much people who describe things being abused as being prejudiced themselves, but when something is truly being abused, not even a narcissistic lens, maybe, that's not be relevant. Not everything being relative relevant, but when something's truly being abused, as in, you didn't use the problem-solving skills I prefer just because you want to solve a problem crucially, or mandatory, objective-wise, reality-based. When someone says, like, make decisions for yourself as people make decisions for you, well, gosh darn it, dude. I made decisions for myself, and they still got overridden by people who made decisions for me anyways. So if I didn't know what my hobbies and interests were saying about me, if I didn't know how to pursue or validate them, oh, why would it matter if you validate them? Just don't want what people think of you. No, it helps to be helped. Seriously, it helps to ask for help. It doesn't, no matter who you are, even if you don't literally need anybody, it still helps to have help. Ask for help sooner. It's not so much for validation or fear of criticism. It's literally just the social aspect of it, the social dynamic. So why, again, would it matter when you can't problem solve your own disclosure for something to be explained in real life and in public in front of people's faces, exploitative, doxing or not, that you're trying to be passionate, if even as a bonus, not just optionality. You're trying to explain something in real life publicly of your problems or even your passions alike. Not so much avoiding problems as if they had to be avoided over the long run, as some people say. Oh, it's okay to be depressed, just don't do it all the time, I guess. Or don't do that bad thing again. Kind of balls of real trauma. When you do have people like that in your life who are like, why couldn't you just discuss this in private and personal ways? Why couldn't you just do this personal thing in private instead of publicly? Why couldn't you just tell us to your families and friends the way you could have without worrying about anyone else's opinion? It's because that was their outlet, including people like me. That was their outlet for being done. It was literally how they wanted to do it, in addition to whatever they thought was crucial to them, or even what there was narrow pathway to them, where however desperate they are without meaning to be desperate, or clingy without meaning to be clingy. Because people who are clingy and desperate in relationships particularly, that's not the only way to see that. I have a long range of ways of describing romantic relationships and other things like that, where it's like, it's not just women who hate desperation, cleanness, it's everybody. No, Chris Lansdowne. You don't get me like that. Sorry, it's universe, I guess, there is this base fuzz server thing, but I have a little problem with other Discord servers in particular, but not all of them, but Brand Talks, base fuzzy server, other places, even the MGTOW community sometimes, like, whether I was actually ever gonna like back them myself or not, even compared to Anarchy and all that, but you want to have your own outlets for expressing yourself, whether it's for passion or for private doxing as a passion, or even passion for even problem solving. Because people who want to stand your way, it doesn't matter if they're brother related or friends or enemies, no matter who they are, associates, authorities. Whoever stands in your way to explain your problems and even your passions in public, when they say things like, why couldn't you have just done this in private the way it's supposed to be done without bad context? Tell them it was your outlet. Tell them the truth. Tell them if you can't explain it in public, you couldn't explain it in the first place. That's why it couldn't be done in private to begin with. If it didn't happen in private, it's almost it didn't happen anyways. But if it doesn't happen in public, it's somewhat obvious it didn't happen in the first place, right? Life gets really messed up like this, like hard and complicated. Not necessarily complicated, but complex, right? So we're on this together. It's all good. But keep that in mind for this extra video for Valentine's Day, 2024, is that people don't know what they're talking about when they explain that you could have done anything in private and it would have been okay. Oh, mind your business is never bad. Oh, it's literally just boundaries being maintained that you have to have, which by the way, you have to have boundaries obviously, but in that context, it's wicked, right? When you have to take advantage of someone, take for granted in a given that boundaries and self-respect are mandatory, but you still use it in a wicked way. You judge those facts already. Don't let that get to your head. Not even the people who are with you. Like you can never change those people. You're not supposed to. Not even narcissists. Not even real narcissists. But the people who prevent you from expressing your outlet, whether it's a passion for doxing, or a passion for problem solving, don't let them stop you from doing that in public. Even if it is dangerous, even if it's only bad. Okay, that's all I gotta say for now. But now I gotta edit these two clips together and edit some other thing out. So like, yeah, take care, guys, and happy Valentine's Day for 2024. Happy Leap Year's Day 2 weeks later, and that's 29th, and 14th to 29th by then. Take care. 7 second delay like I did the live streams on purpose this time though, for no reason. No need for extra joke though. I'm sorry.